Long may that continue.
But Arsenal, again, disjointed there in the way they conceded that.
Well, yeah, even that, there's a couple of opportunities to clear it. Maybe Saka could have cleared it. I think Ben Wright steps in and, he should have held his position, made it a little bit more difficult. But I think, again, it comes down to experience and being in that kind of atmosphere. And I said, to stay calm and do the right things. You needed proper performances. We didn't get them because the mistakes they made, they were punished. And we didn't have tonight anyone playing well enough to get on the ball and make something happen to turn Newcastle, get them on the back foot. I don't think any Newcastle defender at any stage felt under any kind of pressure. Martinelli came on and done a little bit, but it wasn't enough. It was a bit too late for him. But yeah, it's a bit disappointing. But like I say, they're gonna learn a lot from this season, and you hope that next season they get the kind of backing where they can then get something from what they've learned this season.
OK, let's hear from one of those Arsenal youngsters and get some reaction from inside their dressing room. Here is Bukayo Saka.
It wasn't to be for Arsenal tonight. Where did it go wrong for you this evening?
Everywhere from the start. We lost every duel. We couldn't play out from the back well. Just overall, the performance was just so poor.
Frustrating result last time, but you still had the chance to take control of your own destiny tonight and go into the final game with your Champions League future in your hands. Did you do enough tonight to try and do that?
No.
How damaging has tonight been for you now as a group?
Obviously, we're all very disappointed. Technically, it's not over, but, we've made it really difficult for ourselves.
You've got Europa League football as it stands. Now, that's progress from the season you're in just now. Can you view it as that, or will you be disappointed if you don't manage to get Champions League football come the weekend?
I think obviously because, we had it in our hands. If we let it slip, it'd be such a disappointment. So I think if we don't get it, I think we'll all be so gutted.
Just finally, do people need to give you a little bit of leeway? It's a very young squad. It's a squad that is building. As you mentioned, it's still progress on last year, even if you don't get over the line.
Yeah, of course. That's a good point. We're all so young, but, I think here we have to take our opportunities. It doesn't really matter about your age. When you have an opportunity, you have to take it. The last 2 games, we had an opportunity. If we win, we put ourselves in a great position, and we failed to do that.
Appreciate you coming and speaking to us.
Thank you.
Well, he's very honest as well. At the start, he said we lost every single individual duel.
Yeah, well, that's why we saw what happened at half-time. Al, when you see a team come out and they're out there 3-4 minutes before the other team, the managers told them to get out and put it right. Now he's come out and he's been very honest, and he's right to be, because, he's right. It's in their hands to do it, but they couldn't do it for whatever reason. We can blame it on the youth. We could blame it on just players not turning up, because that's what happened in the last couple of games, especially today. The players didn't turn up today. And Newcastle, you come to a Newcastle team, like we mentioned at the start, nothing really to play for. They're safe. It's going to be a vibrant atmosphere, and you have to compete. You can't play like that. And even if you are under pressure, you've got to still try and play your game to then put Newcastle on the back foot, like I've mentioned. It didn't happen. And again, what it's showed me is that we're not ready for fourth. We're not ready for fourth because we've got to a stage in the season where we could have made it happen for ourselves, but we haven't got maybe the experience or the quality in the team to see it over the line. And that is what Mikel will probably be working on in the summer.
I think what surprised me with the Arsenal team is that on the back of such a poor performance against Tottenham, what you want and need is you need a game straight away to say, OK, we want to get that out of our system. Now, everyone all knew what the atmosphere was going to be like at St James's Park tonight. So those players should have known, and Mikel Arteta would have known. So I was really surprised that it looked as if it caught them by surprise. It looked as if they were like a rabbit in the headlights. They didn't know what hit them. We all knew what was going to come. We all knew and expected Newcastle to go after Arsenal right from the off, because we said that. That's what the Newcastle fans demand. You have to do that. And Arsenal couldn't cope with that. They couldn't cope with being put under pressure. And that was the surprising thing for me. They never laid a glove on Newcastle over 95 minutes at all. We expected them to have their moment in the game. And I said that if they keep it 0-0 first half or even the first 20 minutes, and that's first job done. And it was. So we were expecting some kind of reaction in the second half, and it never happened at all. In fact, they got worse. Newcastle got better. They put them under more pressure, I said, because shooting down the hill towards the Gallagher end, they suck the ball in the net. That's what they want. That's what they demand. And Arsenal, it was as if they just didn't know it was going to happen.
You've got to say as well, though, Newcastle's pressing. You're thinking to yourself, is why I said, at some stage you're going to have your time. They did not give us any time, you know, to keep up that level of intensity. And we've seen Newcastle early season. We've mentioned it, Al, how many times you've said no intensity, no drive, no commitment. That's totally turned on its head because for the whole of that game, Newcastle gave not one Arsenal player a moment's time on the ball for them to try and get themselves going. And if Arsenal want to get to the levels they're going to get to, they're going to have to play in that kind of situation and get a lot better doing it. So, like I say, I hope it's a learning curve for them.
Well, talking of reactions, let's get the one from the Arsenal manager. Here is Mikel Arteta.
Well, Mikel, in terms of result and performance, was that a really tough night for your team?
It was a really difficult night to swallow. Newcastle deserved to win the match comfortably. They were much better than us from the beginning to the last minute. And we had nothing in the game.
Can you explain the performance then?
They were much better in every department. They were much better in the duels, in the second balls. Every time they kicked the ball up, they could manage to do so. We were poor with the ball. We didn't defend the restarts of play or set piece in the way we have to do. We had nothing in the game.
But why poor in so many areas on such a big night? Why do you think?
Well, a lot of things happen as well during the night with the substitution that we have to make through injuries and everything, but it's not an excuse. Newcastle deserves to win the match from the beginning because they were much better than us in everything that a full match requires to be on top of that.
Your youth, your energy is usually such an asset, but tonight, rather than youthful, did it look like an inexperienced team, maybe not quite ready for that next step?
That's what we have to think about, but it's true that we could not cope tonight with the game that we have to play here.
Were you worried immediately in that match? Did it just not look right almost straight away?
Yeah. And we tried to change some things and it didn't make it better. And we had some moments where we looked a little bit better and the start of the second half was a tiny bit better and we understood better what we had to do, but then the execution was so poor. The goals that we gave it away were extremely poor and nothing. They deserve to win the match.
Yeah, you said both goals were poor. Does the first goal sum it up really, coming from a foul throw?
We know that's where it starts.
Yeah. What have you said to your players in there?
What I'm saying here, that is extremely disappointed that Newcastle were 10 times better than us and fully deserves the match, and the performance is just nowhere near the level that we have to play. We want to play in the Champions League.
Are you shocked by it? You seem almost stunned by what you've seen.
I am incredibly disappointed. I don't know if the word is stunned. Obviously, when you see the team that we have at the moment, there is a lot of question mark in a lot of position because the injuries and the suspension and everything that we had. But again, it's not an excuse. Today we're at the races.
Yeah. How many players out there were not 100%?
It's not about 100%. I think everybody, when he jumps on the pitch, cannot use the excuse to do anything else. And it's the players that we have. We have been playing like that in the last few weeks and trying to get through that. Players want to be on the pitch, which is the merits as well that you have to, the credit you have to give to the players. But today we weren't good enough.
Worst performance of the season?
I don't know. It's obviously a very painful one.
Yeah. When you won at Villa mid-March, 6 points clear of Spurs, it has been more erratic, the form since then. Why do you think that is?
Well, a lot of happened to the squad as well with the amount of injuries that we picked and the changes that we have to make. But still, it was in our hands. Today is not in our hands. We have to beat Everton and we have to wait for Norwich to beat the Spurs, and that's what we have to wait now.
Yeah. Do you still feel like there is a tiny chance?
There's always a chance in football, and you have to be there just in case that chance appears.
Thanks for your time.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's because it's a 13th league defeat this season for Arsenal. Very frank there, Mikel Arteta, when he said Newcastle worked 10 times as hard as us. Forget tactics and quality for a minute. That's quite a damning statement, right, isn't it?
Well, it is, and you can see how disappointed he is. And again, it comes down to knowing the situation you're going into. Everybody knew. They know exactly what to expect. And coming off of a poor defeat the game before, and like Al said, you get to play a game that you are still in control of in respect of the result. If you get the right result, you put the pressure on, and they didn't do it. So that's a massive worry for him. And like I say, that's probably why he sent them out at half-time. You know, tried to give them a rocket to let them understand, get yourselves going. But in no department did Arsenal get themselves going. No one played well enough to actually cause Newcastle any problems. And in the end, it was a procession for Newcastle. It was very easy. And that's worrying because there was so much at stake.
He looks shell-shocked, Alan, doesn't he, Mikel Arteta?
I think he is, because when you've got so close to getting your hands on something very special, and that's what Arsenal would have had, was something very special in getting into the Champions League. I said beforehand, he might have been in for manager of the season if he had got that squad, because I don't think it's a very good squad. So to have even been in with a chance, they deserve a bit of credit. But when you get that close, and your last two performances are two of the biggest performances that you need of your life to get in there, because you've put yourself in that position. Now, come on, let's go and kick on. It's the two of the worst performances of the season that they've churned out, and that's why he's shell-shocked, because in two big stadiums, in front of two big crowds, in front of huge audiences all around the country, his team have not performed at all. In fact, it's been pretty embarrassing for him in the last two games, and that's why he's shell-shocked.
Does that come down to individual mentality and strength then?
It has to, yeah, because you can see that Mikel is very intense. I thought that his interview after the Tottenham game is protecting the players and not shining a light on how bad they were, because he could have picked out a few players in the Tottenham game as well. And I think coming off of the back of that, he maybe expected a little bit more from them, because he did protect them a bit, I thought. And, you know, I thought some of the questions were, you know, it went on a bit long there, but you could just see that he looked a bit shocked, a little bit shell-shocked. He's probably going to have a lot of thinking to do in respects of certain players and how I'm going to move forward now, because, like you say, whatever we say about how young the squad are, and I still think they overachieved. We all know they overachieved, but they got there. So then what happens is, mentally, individually and collectively, you're supposed to come together and put in two better performances. And then if you then come short, then you just think, well, they just came short because of for this reason or that reason, but not for effort and drive and trying at a time when you've done well to get yourself in a position at this stage of the season. You go out with two performances like that. He's got every right to be very, very disappointed with what he's seen tonight. I think, and also in terms of how it affects Arsenal going forward, well, it does, because you're talking about a different calibre player who you want to bring into your football club. Arsenal need a top-class centre-forward. There's no doubt about that. Now, it would have been a lot easier to attract one of those playing Champions League football than it is playing every single Thursday night or every other Thursday night in the Europa League. So that makes it difficult for them as well.
These are all factors, aren't they?
Yeah, all factors. And when you look at that squad with no European football and you see how stretched it is, he's got a lot of work to do in the summer. You know, so I think Al's right. If they got to Champions League, then they probably start shopping in a very good market, because they're going to need to, and then you have to get the backing. Because then what the squad will have shown is that we need better players with us, because we can get to this far, but we need better players to continue on the journey. But what they've shown is that they're not good enough at this level. So they need to be where they are now. They need to bolt on a couple more players and then, like I keep saying, learn from the experience of this season and hopefully benefit from that next season.
But a more important point, how good were Newcastle?
You're out of order, Al. You're out of order.
They were magnificent.
You've asked and answered the same question. You had to have the final word.